Are you guys ready to review the season finale of Miss Marvel?
Let's do it.
Okay, now, before I get into this, I want to say anybody watching this on the YouTube video, please, please, please don't go anywhere. Don't change that dial or whatever like the kids do when they don't like something these days. Because more than any other video we've ever done, don't leave until you comment. And the reason I say that is before I even get into this episode, I just saw a headline today, and I didn't have time to really like go through it, but it said that this show, Miss Marvel, is the highest rated Marvel property ever of anything. And I don't know if that's like just critical reviews. I don't know if that's fans or everything combined.
It's both.
Yeah, like I don't know exactly like how they compiled that, but I believe it because like I follow like a lot of like YouTube channels and just people on Twitter that are professional like reviewers and stuff. And I'll be honest, we are in the minority. I have seen nothing but effusive praise for this show. Like, people are fucking loving it. And, like, I can understand, like, liking the character of Kamala and, like, even finding her, like, I see a lot of people that are like, you know, she's so, like, endearing, you know, and like, sweet or whatever. And I'm like, okay, like I can maybe understand people enjoying the character, but I cannot see them overlooking how just like clumsily this story they're telling with her is. Like, I don't mind the character, but the story they're telling with her is so bland and like so unforgivably stupid at times, which I'll definitely get into in this episode. Almost offensively stupid at times, and I'm just like, it kind of boggles my mind. So like, I don't want people listening that like do like the show to like think I'm like ragging on them. Like, if you like the show, like I'm happy that you did, but this is why I want people to comment. Like, if you love this show, like so many people seem to do, like please like comment and tell us why. Or if you're like us and they're like, I don't get it, please also comment. So like, because I feel like I'm taking crazy pills almost. Like,
yeah, man. There's one thing that comes to the forefront to me. Like, I thought it was a great idea to showcase a culture. You know, like they brought a new culture in, they're showcasing it. It was really, you know, that was done pretty well.
Yeah, and actually that part of it,
yeah,
I don't mind. Like, it is good.
But the story around it, it's just so unfortunate because it could have been really great. You know, like if they just put a very good, coherent story around it, this could have been the best property in my eyes. But you know, to other people it is. But yeah, I just don't see it.
Yeah, it's just it was paced really weird. The villains were nothing, not compelling at all. It meandered. It never went anywhere interesting in my eyes. And like I said, just filled with really, really stupid things that if you think of critically at all, you're just like, that didn't make any fucking sense. And like... And I leave this being like, okay, yeah, I want to see Kamala like in other stuff, and like spoilers, like the very end of this is like, oh, you'll see Kamala again in the Marvels movie, and I'm like, okay, I'm up for that. Like, I like her as a character, find out enough, but man, this story they told in this season really like did nothing for me.
Yeah, I hope they make it more adult next time.
Do you guys got anything you want to say before we kind of get into the details of the episode?
Not really.
Okay. Okay, let's do it. Because, man, I wrote down some stuff in this episode that was just really stupid. So, yeah, episode 6, entitled No Normal. So we start off at that like burnt out like store they they killed, and the damage control agents say they want to take Kamran in alive, and that's why they fucking just blew up that store, which could have easily killed him. Again, such stupid dialogue that doesn't make sense. So what happened was he and Bruno escape and get on the subway, but Kamran's powers are going crazy, and like he's making those crystal things are just like coming out of his body like really nilly. I
Jagged
think maybe
crystals.
like one of them like went through like the subway window. Like they're scaring people because they're like getting close to people, things like that. We get a scene back home where Kamala tells her family about her powers, but basically they already know because like the mom told the dad, and then he was loud on his phone or whatever, so they all know and they're not surprised. Nakia calls Kamala. Well, actually, she called like her brother, but anyway, she talks to him and tells him about the Circle K store being blown up. We get a scene between Kamala and her mom where, and I wasn't. Did she make her costume or did she just like get it made in Pakistan? I wasn't sure on that.
Oh yeah, I don't know either.
But anyway, she ends up.
Judging by the other costumes they made earlier, she had it made.
One way or the other, though, she got the famous Miss Marvel, costume from the comics, basically, and gives it to her. And I think we get a scene where like Kamala's like running on platforms through the city in her new costume, So Bruno and Kamran, they're on the run, and they end up going to the mosque. But there they meet Nakia, and she's like, you can't stay in the mosque. The DODC agents are going to be all
they'd
over
already
this
been
place.
there. They're like, let's lay low.
Right.
Hey, you remember that place where ice was the other day?
Exactly. So another thing that doesn't really make sense.
Also, when you mentioned Kamala running through the city on her little steps, did you notice how she stopped at a red light?
Yes.
I was like, come on, man, that is so corny.
It was really corny.
Yeah.
So Nakia tells Bruno and Kamran to go to the high school because it's a Saturday and nobody will be there. But they end up getting there like at nighttime. So I'm like, it probably didn't matter what day of the week it was. It was probably going to be empty because they didn't get there until it was like fucking late, So now the DODC agents do come into the mosque, and there's this whole thing where like Nakia like distracts a bunch of them by like making it seem like they're in this room, but then it's like this boy that she like says is her boyfriend, even though it's not or whatever. It was a dumb scene anyway. And so while the DODC are distracted on that side, basically the rabbi guy, or what's like the head of a mosque called?
Oh, Imam? I'm not sure.
That could be it.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So they sneak him out, and they sneak him out kind of by those shoe racks from the like first episode, which made me write down what happened to the shoe thief. Because remember, like
There was a shoe thief. Yeah.
why? Because when they first mentioned that, I'm like, oh, that's going to be kind of her first thing as a superhero. She's going to get the shoe thief. No, they just set that up and did nothing with it.
Yeah.
I'm like, Jesus. I mean, why even mention that if maybe that's going to be a season 2 thing? The fucking
main
shoe
villain.
thief. Yeah, the main
That
villain.
was just a cultural put in.
Yeah, I think it was because like I've been to a temple in India and somebody stole shoes over there too. So I think it just happens a lot.
Oh, okay.
Don't take your good shoes to the mosque.
Yeah. Your Gucci or Versace or whatever.
Yeah,
they were.
whatever it was.
So like, even though like Nakia like told the boys like Kamala is going to meet him at the school, she ends up meeting them in an alley that I don't even think is at the school. Anyway, Kamran's powers do this thing where like they start like kind of exploding out from him, and he says it's like he's being crushed from the inside out. And as that happens, you can kind of hear Najma's voice. So now Kamala calls, I believe the boy's name is Chemo, the red dagger scarf guy, and says that she needs to get Kamran, out of town so that he's safe. So that Chemo guy says to get him to the harbor by midnight, and he has a guy that can get him out of town. So they get to the school, and like Nakia also meets them there. But then the DODC instantly show up there.
Well, Well, before they show up, they're putting a plan together, right?
Oh, I'm gonna get to the plan because it's so fucking dumb.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is.
Yeah, we should talk about the plan.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, I got some stuff to say about the fucking plan.
And Home Alone.
Exactly. I was gonna say it's like Home Alone.
Well, you have two people
so much
with incredible superpowers. Like, let's see if we can think of some dumb shit in this school.
But before that, so they're all talking, and then
Not as fun as Home Alone, though.
Right.
Zoe from episode 1 conveniently shows up. And the reason she says she's in the school is because she uses their school theater to film her TikToks
Yeah, where the
because of the lighting.
Where the fuck did she come from? Yeah, it was weird.
I'm like, no fucking kid would go to their school on off hours to film fucking TikToks. It was so stupid. And it's also one of those things where it's like she shows up and immediately joins the conversation like, oh yeah, I heard what you were saying. And
everybody's like, nobody likes you.
and basically she's like, oh yeah, Kamala saved my life in episode 1. So I'm in it to win it and help you guys.
Yeah, I was like, when they first brought her in, I was like, I don't even remember the chick. Who is this? And I was like, oh, it's that
Right,
girl.
right.
It was weird.
So this is so stupid. So now we're getting into the whole plan thing. So we know the cops show up. Oh, and also very conveniently, her brother shows up and he's like, "Oh yeah, I went to school here. I just climbed through the bathroom window."
How did he know to get there? When did he get there? Like, it didn't make any sense. He was just in the room at the time, right?
Yeah, he just shows up and it was like, "Oh yeah, I made it through the window, even though this place is surrounded by cops."
And the thing is, like, he didn't serve a purpose either. He was just kind of like a cheerleader.
Yeah.
I don't know what he was.
But okay, so the cops show up and now they're doing their plan. And the cops apparently are patient because they go there and they had to be out there like a minimum of like 2 hours
While they
doing
make this plan.
nothing while they make this plan. Because she even does that thing where she creatively draws out all of her plans on the chalkboard. And I'm like, come the fuck on. This show is so stupid. I'm like, that's the thing. This is where I'm like, this is offensively stupid. I get that this show is aimed towards a younger audience. But this is like, remember shows we would watch when we were like teens, like Family Matters and things like that, where it was like written by adults, but they were like, we know like this is just a kid's show, and so we can make it as dumb as we want. That's what this writing on this show, specifically in this part, reminds me of. It's like we're gonna dumb this down so much. We don't like, we know adults are gonna watch this, but we're gonna write it just for the kids that won't think about this twice. So yeah, she draws out her stupid plan. Okay. So yeah, first, her brother and Zoe grab some shit out of the lockers while they're setting up this plan. Bruno and Kamala are making something mysterious in the lab, which ends up being really stupid.
Forgot
They
about that.
they grab all the fire extinguishers. They grab all of the softballs. And this is the thing. Like, I'm sure schools like this do have a lot of softballs. Do they have like like fucking like crates of them? There's so many of them.
There was a lot.
Yeah, and they were in the basketball gym, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay. So the DODC like female agent, she's talking to like the male like agent who's maybe like her boss or whatever. And I wrote this down because I found it so stupid. She says, these kids have left a trail of destruction across Jersey City. Really? How much have they done? The biggest
They
destruction.
blew up that corner store.
I know. I was going to say the biggest destruction is the DODC blowing. Like what? They broke a window on the subway. Like, even when his powers exploded a little bit that time, like it didn't do the thing it does at the end. So like, I don't know, maybe it blew some papers around. Like, they have not left a trail of destruction at all. Like, I was like, that's a stupid line. But basically, like her boss or whatever tells her like to not engage, and she like instantly disobeys them and does it anyway. let's see. I wrote down. Oh, Kamala tells Bruno what happened in Pakistan, but Bruno's like, "Oh, don't tell Kamran right now that his mother's dead and all that." So, like the DODC agents like start coming into the school, and apparently this was part of their plan. They rigged up a speaker and a disco ball to distract the DODC agents.
Yeah, they made it look like it was going to be a bomb, and then it played Pakistani music.
Something like
that was was that a callback to Thor: Love and Thunder, where Valkyrie has that little thing and they think it's a bomb and it's a speaker?
I remember. Well, hers looked like a grenade or something.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
It might have been.
I
the
don't
same
think it was a
thing.
callback because, like, I
They're
doubt
so
they can
close
even.
to-
Yeah,
yeah.
but like, it was dumb. I can tell you that. So Zoe, because she has like a million like TikTok followers or whatever, she gets on there and tells all of her followers what's going on and gets them to like come show up at the school to help them against the DODC. I wrote, they somehow distract the DODC with the fire extinguishers, and one of them escapes through conveniently placed furniture.
Yeah. It was a clever plan.
Again, so stupid. Ah, God, I hated this. Okay, so now the agents go into the lab, and I think there's like this balloon or something they pop, which causes this reaction where it makes like, I wrote down, it creates a ludicrous amount of foam.
Yeah, it's called elephant toothpaste. It's a real reaction.
Right.
And I don't know, there are TikTok videos where people try to do really big ones, but it's, yeah, I don't know what that was supposed to accomplish exactly.
I mean, I guess it like
it looks kind of cool.
it slowed some of them down. Like, oh, I gotta
This is
wait.
confusing.
It was so
These
stupid.
DOD agents are like, ooh, foam.
It's slightly warm.
So Kamala and Kamran like end up in the principal's office, and like they're about to kiss when Bruno walks in on him, and then you can tell like Bruno's like, oh no, my woman's being almost kissed by this other guy.
That's another thing. You've got two like people with huge powers. They're off hiding behind a desk. Meanwhile, everyone else is running around, and apparently they have these guns that shoot sound waves that could like blow your head off. Apparently,
Oh yeah.
I was like, yeah.
They set him to stun at least because they're just like blowing the kids
Well, the
around.
one blew like a big chunk out of the concrete
Yeah, they
wall.
took out of a wall. I was like, how is
He'll be stunned, all right.
it's stunned and shattered to little pieces?
But organic, it differentiates between organic matter, and it's like, oh, we'll treat you a little softer, you know.
It's like we got all our friends killed.
Yeah, and all the friends are the ones who are like guiding them out of there. They're
Yeah.
the ones with the powers, and they're
That's
like,
right. Well, when they're hiding behind the desk, and the friend comes in, he's like, "You two get out of here. I'll distract them." And then he just like does a dance, and they like, yeah,
punch them.
take him down.
So now, like, they kind of split where, like, Kamran and Kamala kind of get a lead on the DODC. Well, like, first, like, one of them just, like, punches out Bruno, I believe. And then, like, one of them's, I think Nakia's, like, on the bike with the fire extinguisher attached to it. And they kind of, like, she crashes the bike, and then she starts, like, running from them. And this is where, like, they chase them, and it ends up with, like, the three of them, like, throwing the softballs at him. Which
Yeah, that was
is
terrible.
so fucking
And those-
how do people like this?
Yeah, those agents just stood there. They didn't even shoot them. Like, they had every opportunity the whole time.
Those
they
kids
could've-
would be dead, straight
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
It was like, well, we got some Southeast Asianers here. Change it to real bullets there. I mean, yeah, they would all be dead. But anyway, they're all caught, and so now it's just Kamala and Kamran on the run. So now Kamala does tell Kamran about his mom. And, like, we get a couple scenes where, like, Kamran looks like he's going to commit, like, some real violence on the DODC agents. And, like, so she stops him, you know, from doing that.
I'm like, these DOD agents are out to kill, man. You guys
Yeah.
you need to beat them up a little bit.
Let's see. So now Kamran eventually goes outside, and like the DODC starts like firing on him, but Kamala shows up like just in time and starts like shielding him with her powers. But then like they bust out this like large like sonic cannon which breaks her shield. So now Kamala uses her powers, and this is the first time where she, even though she doesn't have her powers like she has in the comics, she does use them to embiggen. So she grows to maybe like twice her height, maybe, you know, and uses that to fight back the DODC. I think she like is able to like tip over one of their vehicles and it's something like that. And then like Kamran starts like also fighting agents with his powers, but eventually his powers start going haywire again, and basically like the crystals then just start like exploding out of him.
Yeah, I thought he was going to explode.
It seemed like it. Now, do we think that basically like he's kind of become the veil into that other world?
I don't know. I just assumed that he'd gotten power somehow.
But anyway, like yeah, like the crystals are just like coming out of him. They're like almost killing the other kids. They're like trapped on the bus and things like this. And so Kamala ends up like putting this protective bubble around him. And this was so they have this conversation. Like she tells him to get to the harbor, and like her putting in the bubble, I believe, makes like the other crystals like disappear. I thought this was so stupid. She like punctures a hole in the ground for him to escape. Where does that go? Does he just go to the sewer? And
When I saw that, I was like, was there like a manhole there or something? What was the...
I don't think so. I think she
just,
literally
like,
just
get in this hole.
like punches
It goes
a
to the
rabbit
harbor.
hole. Yeah, she like punches a rabbit hole in the ground, and somehow that's going to get him to the harbor. I'm like this. God, I'm like,
I can't navigate through the sewers to the harbor.
I mean, there's so much just like
follow the
stupid
stream.
shit in this episode. I'm just like, how do people like this so much?
That was weird, yeah.
I think over time people will reveal more plot holes and stuff.
So now, like, the female agent is on the phone again with like her male boss, and he's like, basically like yelling at her for disobeying her order and saying like, "Oh, now there's videotape of you like fucking up these kids on camera or whatever," you know. So basically, that's all wrapped up. The day is saved. The crowd like stop like interferes with the DODC enough that Kamala gets away or whatever. So now there's a scene with Kamala and her dad at home, and they're talking like on the roof of their house. And this is what I was kind of referencing in the intro, is Kamala says that her name, Kamala, in Urdu, means Marvel. And he's like, "You've always been our little Miss Marvel." And it's like, it's almost like that Peter Griffin Family Guy moment where he's
Tier.
like, "Oh, so that's what it means," or whatever. It's like, oh yeah, that.
I was laughing at the Griffin one. That was so stupid.
But again, it's just like, really, it's just like, fine. I wonder if that's true. If Kamala in Urdu really does mean that, or if
I
it's
have
just
no
bullshit they
idea.
made up for this show. Okay, so now we cut to a week later, and Bruno has this conversation with Kamala. Oh, and she brings back the Elmer Fudd hat. So that's a thing. She likes that Elmer Fudd hat. But he tells her, and this was a big deal on the internet this week, that he looked into her jeans, and there is something different about her. There's
no penis.
I don't like you anymore.
Girls don't have a penis?
there's a mutation in her genes. She's a mutant.
The only reason the show has relevancy.
You know what? Like, I don't think this is true, but after seeing this episode, I was like, did they see this and be like, man, this is a five-finger stinker. Let's put the mutant thing in there just to get people talking about this
Yeah.
episode and hopefully forget everything they just saw.
Yeah, look, man. For me, I had to watch 5 and 6 together, and it was a chore. Like,
Yeah.
But
I was having trouble staying on task.
yeah,
Like, I was wandering.
yeah. And
I had to take notes on this thing, and it was painful.
the only thing that kind of gave me some sort of hope was that I had heard that mutants would be referenced in the show, but that was the lamest reference because they barely even.
So the other thing, so, you know, look, when the X-Men were first created, they were basically, and that was like in the 60s or whatever. They were an analog for like, gay people, people who suffered racism,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff, which is really, compelling for that time period. But like part of me is like, and this has never made sense to me, to where like when you combine the X-Men with the larger Marvel universe, it's like, why do people hate and fear the X-Men, but like the Hulk, they're like, not the same, I would be much more afraid of the Hulk than I would be a lot of the X-Men, So so I was kind of hoping maybe they would take the X-Men in a little different direction. But I wrote this down because she instantly, this is a quote from her. She's like, oh, whatever it is, it's just going to be another label. So they're already setting this thing up to where, mutants are going to be labeled like a problem, and there's going to be all this prejudice towards them. And I'm like, I don't know if that makes a lot of sense when there's these other Avengers and things with powers that people don't put in that group. I'm just like, I don't know.
I would think like maybe they'll try to differentiate them based on like, prior history. Like the Avengers are known as like Earth's mightiest heroes, and they were seen as good. But then like all of a sudden out of the woodwork, you've got these people who are getting powers, and some of them are committing crimes and this and that. Like,
Yeah, how do you introduce them? They haven't been around at this point.
Yeah, it's definitely true. I mean, that's one of the big
Because,
questions is how they're going to introduce them.
I mean, obviously the X-Men have a long history because you have people who are like born in the 40s and stuff, or even further back maybe.
I mean, they could potentially use the multiverse and say like, oh, the mutants were in this universe, and
It's
now they're
like the mutant universe.
somehow like have to leave that universe, or they converge with this universe or something.
you don't think it'd just be like they're underground, like they just haven't, been seen. They're very,
Not, I mean, you can't make that argument for like Magneto or something.
But then again, like if she just mutated, like are they going to say like, oh,
they start coming out of the woodwork. Like
yeah,
you said.
maybe right now they're going to all start coming out of
But
the
some
woodwork.
of them have too much history for that.
Well, and also you want some of them older than others.
Yeah.
You don't want all of them to be teenagers. So
I'd say other universes. Xavier was in another universe.
It could be that celestial thing, like because the celestial, what was that? Thanos is the snap when they brought back all the life in the universe, that caused the what they called these the monsters to fight the Eternals. Maybe that
right.
also triggered like
the mutation or something.
I don't know. I'm reaching.
Yeah. They've been pretty good about sewing things together, so
Yeah.
so we'll see what they do.
And then we get the after credit scene, where Kamala's on her bed, and all of a sudden, the bangle starts lighting up, and she's like, "What?" And then basically, it violently shoves her into her closet enough to like break her door, and then she comes out looking like Brie Larson, Captain Marvel. So basically, now her bangle also has like shape shifting powers, I guess.
Well, that's why I was like, I wasn't sure. I was like, did she change, or did they swap positions? Like I was confused.
I mean, it doesn't technically say like if they pulled like a Freaky Friday or if it was a shape change. I'm thinking it's just like a shape change type thing.
I don't know.
So I mean, we don't know what her powers are right now. Like they're all over the place.
Not exactly. I mean, for the most part, they're the Green Lantern type powers, but apparently the bangle has some sort of time travel thing to it, and now it has this shape changing aspect to it.
Is she God?
I mean, they're definitely making her very powerful.
Yeah.
And then we get the tag that Miss Marvel will return in The Marvels, which is the sequel to Captain Marvel. So yeah, again, like, I know it seems like we're really hating on this show, which we kind of are, but I will say, like, there, again, like, what do you guys think of her, just her as a character? Because, like I was saying, like, I don't mind her as a character. She is kind of like a sweet, endearing character. And I'm like, definitely up to seeing her on other adventures. But I just thought this particular season of television was bland, meandering, not well thought out. And The Home Alone stuff at the school really bothered me because it was so dumb that I'm like, I felt like they didn't. You remember how like they used to make a lot of cartoons that were like kids love them, but the parents want to blow their brains out. And eventually, like Pixar was like, hey, what if we make things that the parents can enjoy too, you know? And then like a lot of the other animation studios finally caught on to that. I feel like this show, unfortunately, leans more towards kids would love it, but parents would want to blow their brains out. But apparently I'm wrong about that. Like I said, we are definitely in the minority. Like most people, adults included, love this show. And I'm just like confused by it.
Yeah, I don't get it either, man.
I've been thinking about it. I think it edged out Hawkeye.
Yeah, it did edge out Hawkeye for me just because Hawkeye.
I really hated Hawkeye.
Yeah.
I think I'm still going to say I like this show the slightest bit more than Hawkeye, just because it never quite pissed me off as much as that final episode of Hawkeye, and how I think it kind of ruined the Kingpin character. But it was, I'm sorry, like it's bad overall.
Yeah, I got to put Falcon Winter Soldier above this show.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
And that was like kind of just like
It was an okay
it was a mess show,
Yeah.
which makes it quite a bit better than this
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
I mean, boy, I
think it's great. I don't know what it is exactly that people are clinging on to here that they like so much. I really appreciate that people are like seeing a new culture and getting into that. That's awesome.
yeah.
But we should appreciate a good story too, you know? Like that wasn't something that was part of this show.
That's the thing. It just was not well crafted. The writing, man. I think you're right. That aspects of it, like seeing her culture, like seeing her family, is something you don't see on a lot of shows. It's something new, and that aspect of it, I'm like, okay, yeah, I can get on board with that, you know. But just like,
Yeah.
everything else was.
I think Kevin Feige could have been a little bit more hands-on with some of this stuff in the show.
Yeah, I mean, that guy's got to be busier than fuck.
Yeah.
But I do feel like this show did not have
The same oversight.
Yeah, exactly. It just I don't know what to say about it other than it did not work for me though.
Yeah, it didn't work for me either.
But the fact that it's like the most highly rated show or Marvel like property, it just boggles my mind. Again, like I'm really hoping people comment and tell me like what we're right about, what we're wrong about, and what they like about it, what they don't like about it, because I'm genuinely curious.
Yeah, like I said, look, I think right now everybody's on board, but in the future, like people are gonna point out these plot holes and kind of come to terms with some of the writing issues.
I do wonder, like, once the novelty wears off and people maybe go back and think about this show, if they'll be like, wow, we were really caught up in something.
Yeah.
Because, man, I know recency bias is like a thing, but man, this show just, I'm like, I'm perplexed that people like it as much as they do.
It could be
I don't know.
It could be the visuals too. Like there was a lot of like eye candy for people, you know. Maybe they just really are stimulated by that.
But like he was saying, I don't think it's like even up there as like one of the better looking Marvel things. Like I think a lot of the VFX are like kind of
Hercules with Kevin
I wouldn't
Sorbo.
say Hercules with Kevin Sorbo. I wouldn't go that far, but they're definitely not as impressive as a lot of other Marvel properties, I don't think.
Hercules. Man, I remember some of the stuff.
There was some bad.
I would not put it quite in that category, but it's yeah, man. Yeah, like even if I had to put a number on this show, I honestly don't know what it would be. It'd be low though.
Yeah. Look, if I'm gonna put a number on this show, it'd be like 4 or 5.
That's what I was thinking. It was like a 4.
I'm at like a 2. I really didn't like it.
And who knows, if I went back, I might have even ranked Hawkeye better than that.
I just want to leave one slot in case they make Hawkeye, or, again, Hawkeye 2. It'll be the Thanksgiving special or whatever.
I don't think it's this year, maybe the next year, though, that they are going to do that Guardians, Christmas special.
Oh, yeah.
But I like the Guardians, so that ought to be
Yeah,
good.
Guardians will be fun.